most preachers inquire. So like the video said, it says, if you're fishing for fish or fishing for men, we're still fishing. What's good about fishing as a hobby is it can provide a lot. It can provide a return, food on the table, for one thing. We can take it home. But being a fisher of men, it's up to us to put the seed out there, cast a line or a net. But it's not up to us to have somebody accept. That's his job. That's up to him to say, okay, you can take the fish home, but I'm taking him home. So it's all about faith. And it's a good thing. When I was a little kid, back in the 80s, it's hard to say, little kid back in the 80s. My dad was employed at a business here in Quincy, and part of his operation had moved to Baymonette, Alabama. And it included his line. And in the 80s, I don't know how difficult it was for everyone else to get a job, but it was pretty difficult for him. And so basically what happened was, the Bible says to search for three things. It says love above all covers everything. But to search wholeheartedly for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. To bind them around your neck. To not lose them because they are more precious than any gem we will ever find. In today's time, I believe we're talking about money, because I don't have so many gems that I see money in back then. We were poor. We were dirt poor. And the thing, I've gotten grief over it at work about, you weren't dirt poor. We had what we needed, but that's it. The Bible says they were happy when they had clothing on their back and food in their belly. They were content. We were content. We had some hard times, but we knew, here's the word, knowledge. Through our faith in God and our knowledge of fishing, we're going to be okay. And obviously we were, because I'm still here. It was a trial, it was a tribulation, and we all go through it. And that's what's neat about this, talking today, is that we all go through trials, we all go through tribulations, but you got to remember, sometimes it is just a trial of faith. Sometimes it's a trial of endurance. And our problem sometimes is, since we are men, if you're like me, you like to fix things, work with your hands. I got to fix it. But our problem is, we don't like to read the instructions. Duck Dynasty, I love that show. I love Duck Dynasty. But I put together so many things by the picture, and my wife comes in, she's like, why you got all these parts left over? I'm like, I don't know, it must have been a Friday, they packed too many parts. We can make life so much easier if we just leave our problems at the altar. Just say, God, I've got this issue, and it would be so much easier if we just left it, but we don't. Just get it, and then we keep going, and let it worry us. But if we just leave it, life would be so much great. I say, we come into this world with nothing, we're going to leave with nothing. I listen to Charles Swindoll when I'm building these things. It keeps me in the right frame of mind. That it's not about me, it's about him. Talk about nothing. It's kind of cute. He said, in his voice, he's got that good pastor voice, he said, we come into this world with nothing and we leave with nothing. He said, obviously I'm right, because we have never seen a U-Haul following a hearse. But I believe that when we I disagree with him 100%. Again, I disagree with him. Cast your line to someone who doesn't know who we know, and you plant that seed. When we go and meet our Maker, guess who else is going to go meet the Maker? So in essence, I think that we took someone home with us. We can, we're not going to take any of this, but we're after the heart. That's what we're after. All right. I don't know if you all agree with that or not, but that's how I feel. I feel like if you planted a seed, all your buddies are going to be up there with you. That's great. That's how it should be. Now, I was saying that we had some bad times. All we had was clothes in our back, food in our belly. We moved around a lot. My wife and I, the house that we live in now was my 21st time that I moved in my life. But it's fine. It's my life. That's the way it goes. I'm going to say one thing right now. Would have I traded any of that for the world? No, I wouldn't. It was an opportunity for me as a kid to grow my faith in God, and being on the bank, even though we were fishing for our food, and we really were. Bubba Gump says it best on Forrest Gump. There's so many different ways to cook shrimp. This way, I know firsthand there's the same amount of ways you can do fish too. We even had fish soup one time. So, it worked. We're still here. The other thing was an opportunity to bond with my dad. We're out there sitting on the bank and just enjoying what we were doing. Like we were millionaires. Like it didn't really matter. And it didn't. I tell you one thing. I don't know how many of you guys fish. Obviously some of you do. But if you haven't fished or don't fish, if you take a kid, a first-timer, let's say we do the Boy Scout presentation, and let's say you got a first-timer that's never been in the water that made his own lure, the little bottle cap lures, there's a couple things that's going to happen when you put him in that boat. One, you're going to go out there because we're so used to being surrounded by all this. We get in the middle of a boat. If you've never been in the middle of a lake, it's quiet. It's peaceful. It's good. And you look around, you're like, you make this. The second thing is you're going to have, no matter who's in that boat with you, conversation, bonding time. That's what it's all about. It's good. That's really all I can say. It is good. If you haven't done it, do it. The next thing is, you come to hear a little bit about Christian fishermen and what we do. That's one thing. I've already kind of given it away. Through our sales, what we do, this is the back burner. The lure. It's the back burner. God's the front runner, always. In all of our lives, He needs to be right there up front. In our marriage, in the center, right there, that's where He needs to be. Always fixed on Him, that's where it's got to be. Back burner. But the way what we do is through our sales of the lures, the little necklaces, the shirts, and all that, we give 10% back to Christian charities, food banks, and faith-based organizations. When you're talking $100 a month or whatever, it's not a whole lot, but still 10% is here. If we could get Duck Dynasty level of $1 billion or get $1 billion back, that would be a big deal. So it come about accidentally too. I keep telling you guys, I think this entire thing is God-driven because in 2010, my wife worked at Sears. She was an assistant store manager, and she worked whatever hours. She worked days, she worked nights. She wouldn't make anybody do anything that she wasn't willing to do. So it was my night to be daddy. Well, I had built these little, not little, but radio-controlled airplanes. So you got to build from scratch, and it takes a tremendous amount of time to get these things built in the air. Then you take a chance of crashing it. But you need a lot of room. And so the girls are too little to go downstairs. And I had a knowledge of balsa. And so the first one's a balsa, but so I was like, well, I'm gonna do something. Gotta do something. House is clean, and the girls like, I'm not sitting and watch TV. So I got a piece of balsa, and of all things I was gonna make a toothpick. Take a razor. And so I'm going along with this one right here. This is it. Sitting here with this piece of wood. And it's starting to somewhat take the shape of a lure. This is number one. So I'm excited. I'm like, what? Man, I made a lure. And so I'm a painter from Nappi. and I should have known better. I'm doing it with the paintbrush. Well, we don't do anything with the paintbrush, and that's how we do those. It's airbrush. So well, you know, look at this. Look, this thing's great. And it had hooks and it had a spoon on it, you know. And I was all excited. And I told my wife, I'm like, we're going to the lake. We're going to go fishing with something that we made. So throw this thing in the water, and you know, normal when you let it go, it's this thing went a long, long way. And when it hit the water, it went a nice little, one of those things you see on the Olympics when they go through and hit the water, and it was oh my, and I don't know how familiar you guys are with lures, and they go, you know, but I have to do like this. The action on them, when you're watching it, it does this. It's traveling. This one was like, yeah. So I was heartbroken. I mean, really, I was. I put all this time in this thing, and this took maybe a couple days, you know. This was a failure. But maybe it wasn't, because this lure now has become a really fantastic conversation piece. This lure sparked interest in me to do all this. And it's been an opportunity to talk to my girls and say, girls, and these are all failures. This is our first attempt at doing scales. It looks like I'm not even sure what that is, but and then here's our first attempt at doing a three-part lure. We've not quite got that down, but it's getting closer. These are all failed attempts that did not work. And I was heartbroken. So the girls come out, we found these, and I said, girls, come here, I said, this is our very first lure we ever made. And I said, if I would have followed what my heart wasn't saying to do when that day happened, I said, I would have quit. I said, but I'm going to tell you what right now. And this is just a few times in we give a lot back to the Community for Christ Assistance Center out at Camp Point. That if anybody else has any ideas where they'd like to put money, we'll be more than happy. If we got it. Which is not a lot, but some is better than none. So I tell the girls, I'm like, if we would have quit, I'm like, when life gets too tough, and you're like, I quit. Because I've got an 8-year-old, I've got a 7-year-old, I've got a 2-year-old. Well, life's too hard, I'm done, I quit. It's not too hard. It's a challenge. Anyways, if we would have stopped, if this one right here, we would have never been, we wouldn't be here talking about God today. We wouldn't be giving money back to Christian charities, food banks, any of that. It wouldn't happen. I'd probably be sitting at home watching TV. I'd probably, who knows what. But we're here talking about God, what we should be doing. He's the honor, He's the glory, that's where it goes. And so this is the back burner. He's the front burner. He's right up front. I mean, I say it, sometimes it's hard to do it, and we all know it's hard to do it. Sometimes your brain's doing life and all that, but we need to work past that and keep Him up front. I was telling you that we do some stuff with the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts, which is pretty cool. That I don't know what you can read on this and what you can't. But being with the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts, for me, and you guys probably have kids that are at that age, older, younger, whatever. I'm sure that most of us have got kids here. It is amazing to see the look on their face when they do something right that they learn from you. For me personally, I know we're putting out the right message. I went to the little Boy Scout thing over at Wakanda State Park. I'm sitting there, and what we do, we did that, but we tie the marabou in the tail. About 4 or 5 got kids. You know, how do you burn up an hour without doing the entire process? So we do it. And then I did a real nice little road runner. There's some road runners that's just a crappie jig with a spinner on it. And those are a bought item from us, and we'll just tie the tail and do a 2-part split, a 3-part, or whatever you want to do. There's something you can't find in the store. But anyways, I'm sitting here, and I'm making this little Roadrunner for one of the little kids. I'm sitting at the picnic table. And what I like to do is I like to give one away for a birthday present, because you never know if you're going to see him again. And that'll be one way that they remember you. Or, wow, I remember that day. I'm sitting there. I'm sitting there on the jig. I've got my stuff. I'm tying. I felt a tug on my sleeve, and it was cold out. They had campfires on. They had the chow line up. You know, I mean, there wasn't nothing compared to this. But we're sitting there, and it's tugging my arm. And they call me Tommy, and I like Tommy because it makes me feel young still. More personal. We're sitting there, and this little tug's on me. And he says, Tommy, we're ready to eat. I'm like, what, buddy, it's your all's child line. Why don't you guys go through it? Go through it. And like I said, we don't talk what we're talking about now. Where I'm talking, we do the demonstrations. Come on, we're ready. I just want to finish this. Let me finish this real quick because I want to give it away. Well, we can't eat without you. Why not? We want you to bless our food. Yeah. A little kid comes up. They got it. That's the right message. So when a little kid can get it, it worked up again. You tore me down that day. I was like, what? I'm a perfect stranger to you. Yeah. And then I walked over. I'm like, yeah, got a challenge. I asked the den leaders. I'm like, listen. I said, which one of you guys put the kids up there? Asking me to say prayer. They did. I said, come on, be serious. Who did it? They did. Prove it. Right? They see what's going on. I guess what I'm saying is back to if we would have quit years ago, and I don't know, it's hard to even explain, but you get that little feeling in your heart, that little, the voice but not audible, you can't hear it, but you know it's there. Whatever it's saying to you, whether it's saying, we'll just use Tom, because that's the name I can remember. Tom, I want you to be a pastor. Tom, I want you to be a music leader. Tom, I want you to work for Napa. Don't hang up the phone. Answer it. I want to answer the call because unless you answer that call and go through with what you're supposed to do, and this is detailed in your brain, like, wow. You're never going to know what God's got in store. And I still don't. But this is awesome. For you guys to say to a perfect stranger, we see what you're doing, come talk to us. And for me to talk about Him, I will talk about Him all day long. I think that's a wonderful thing to talk about. Again, if you got clothing on your back, food in your belly, we're content. The thing too is if He is calling you, if you have that little feeling in your heart, if God is asking you or telling you that, hey, I want you to do whatever it may be or it may not be, like I said, accept the call and be a light. But don't even be a light, I'd like to say campfire. But don't be a campfire, because then what you got, when you're a campfire, you got people having to come see your fire. They're coming to you. What you need to do is you ever seen magnesium catch on fire? Be a magnesium fire where the entire world can see what's going on with it. It is amazing to hear this man tell me that this group is normally 8 people. Look around, you guys should be proud. You have a beautiful church, have a wonderful mission with all you guys. I hate to go as far as to say it's a band of brothers, but I'm going to say it. I would say you guys are more like a band of brothers. I think if you all stand together for a long, long time, really good things will happen here.